Okay, we move now to St. Louis, Missouri, and going to speak to Nick. Nick, you're on the G. Gordon Liddy Show.
Good morning, Gordon. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you, Nick. How may I serve you this morning?
Well, I basically want to tell you that I agree being a police officer with just about everything that you come up with on your show and the things that you talk about. What I was curious about was your ATF position. I know many of them here, and many of them are, and most of the ones I know are dedicated law enforcement officers, as in other areas of federal government, FBI, and different law enforcement agencies. And just like in those agencies, probably some that are better than others. And they probably did, or it's obvious that they did imminently screw up the Waco situation. I was just curious if you have had any repercussions from any government agency on your diatribes against them.
No, I'm prepared for an ATF raid on my home, a vengeance raid. I've got alarm systems like you wouldn't believe, and, I'm ready to go to war if they're ready to go to war. There's no legal justification for any kind of a raid on my home because I do not possess firearms, as I'm not legally allowed to because I have felony convictions. Mrs. Liddy, who was never convicted of anything other than perhaps an absence of good sense when she married me, possesses firearms. That does not break the law in any way. We're not breaking the law down there, but it wouldn't at all surprise me. As a matter of fact, I half expect. I do expect. Let's put it that way. I'm ready for them. The ATF to, cook up a phony search warrant or something and come smashing in and possibly try to, kill Mrs. Liddy, me, and or some of our grandchildren, what have you. But they'll have to go through me and Mrs. Liddy first. Mrs. Liddy's a damn good shot. Matter of fact, if I were the ATF, I'd be more worried about Mrs. Liddy than I would about me. She's ferocious.
I'd say they're usually better, far worse shots than most of the people they're going after.
Well, they are. I mean, I think three of the ones who died at Waco were shot by, one of their own. From what they tell me, because they penetrated their flak jackets, and the people inside Waco didn't have the kind of ammunition that would do that. Because if I'm up against the ATF ones, I'm going to double tap them in the head. I'm not going to dick around with trying to shoot somebody in a flak jacket.
Yeah.
The problem is I'm sure that there are some good, decent ATF agents who are probably overwhelmed with shame and humiliation at having to put ATF on their uniforms. But the fact is, it is a rogue agency. They've been doing this, to my direct knowledge, since I was down in Washington from 1969. We're having another instance described to us today. All kinds of people are coming out with horror stories about intimidation raids, places where they take firearms where they have no right to, refuse to give them back, no charges filed, things like that. I don't know, did you hear our program the other day?
Well,
when they left, they deliberately went and stomped the family cat to death.
Yeah, I did hear that, and that was
not to mention stealing.
Pretty amazing. I'm only able to listen to your show between 4:30 and 5, basically, Central Time every day because the time that I get off work here.
Sure.
But I did hear that portion of it, and if that did happen, that was certainly uncalled for. But they, again,
we're not uncalled for. I mean, but you would not, would you, if you were executing a search warrant or something else like that, stomp to death a kitten?
No.
I mean, that's not uncalled for. I mean, that is outrageous, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
All right.
I agree with that. But basically, I guess what I was wondering if you're, in many instances, have called for basically armed insurrection against armed resistance against any ATF agent that may come to any person for basically any reason.
No. What I've said is that if they go to the home of innocent, law-abiding people, and they present those people with the threat of deadly force, then they are warranted, justified, in resisting deadly force with deadly force. The mere fact that these people are ATF agents does not excuse that. Now, what I have resisted and said I believe to be incorrect was the information that it was contained in an editorial in Modern Gun magazine. This was not being advocated by the editor of Modern Gun magazine, but he was pointing out that there are now groups of people who are veterans from Vietnam principally, but also Korea and even World War II, but they're principally veterans of special operations, SOG groups, Phoenix program people that have just had it up to here with the ATF, and they are advocating proactively hunting down ATF agents and killing them.
Sure.
And I've said, no, that's not the way to go about it. Others have said, Liddy, we agree that you resist armed force with armed force, but we think you're doing it stupidly. What we suggest you do is when they come in and they smash your home and they steal your money and your things and they kill your cat and they, terrify your wife and children and things like that, don't say or do anything except make very careful mental notes of the identity and the appearance of these people, and then, after it's all over and things cool down, go out, hunt them down, and kill them for having done it. Now, what I say is no, because you're not legally justified in doing it that way. You're legally justified when they come in and they start smashing and ripping and plundering and pillaging in your home, and killing the pets and sticking shotguns in the face of your wife and terrorizing her and everything and not letting her go to the bathroom, all this kind of business. That's the time, when they bring out the guns, you have the guns.
Even though they're serving a search warrant that's issued by a federal magistrate for a violation of violation of federal firearms.
Here's the problem. They use phony warrants. The warrant down at Waco was no good. The application was no good. All you have to do is read it and be a lawyer. I mean, I would have been thrown out of any court chambers of any judge in Dutchess County, New York, that I worked with back in those days when I was a prosecutor, if I had tried to get a search warrant based on an application like that. They'd have wondered how I even got through law school. I mean, the BATF is no longer entitled to a presumption of legitimacy. If you, sir, come in, if a man knocks on my door and he's wearing the uniform of Prince George's County Police or Maryland State Police or something of that sort, there's a presumption of regularity there. These are honest, law-abiding police officers who are trying to protect, to the extent they can, the peace and everything of the community and so forth. And I give them all the benefit of the presumption of regularity. But the actions of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms over a period of decades now has, in my view, removed from them the presumption of regularity. You just presume that these guys are in, they're like Viking plunderers. That's unfortunate, but they're the ones who did this, and the people in Congress who keep passing laws that are in flagrant violation of the United States Constitution. The people are not going to put up with it. They're not going to obey such laws.
I think, though, that if they were in fact serving a search warrant that's issued by a judge, whether it be on a faulty affidavit or not, and that if the person in the home took the position that they have the constitutional right to bear arms, thus the warrant that they were trying to search was invalid because their constitutional right overrode the federal law on a particular firearm, and a federal agent was wounded or killed because of it, their defense would be shaky at best. I mean, they would.
Well, there ain't going to be any defense.
If they weren't killed on the scene, they would be certainly.
You're going to have a war down there, and you're going to end up dead yourself. But the idea is take as many as you can with you, and this sort of thing, will discourage that kind of activity by the BATF because they don't want to die.
Yeah.
And the other thing I'm suggesting is that a better way, and I've called for this, is for the citizens, law-abiding citizens, to organize themselves, get cellular phones so their telephone wires can't be cut,
Yeah.
And, have dogs and things like that let you know, okay, these guys have just, driven up in their 6 cars, loads of them and everything like that. Bam. You hit you can program these cell phones. You just hit 1 or 2 numbers, and you've got to think. You have a number that's agreed on. It calls a central number, and then there's an immediate phone net that goes out, and within minutes, up to 100 armed citizens arrive. Make damn sure that the BATF behaves itself, and if necessary, disarms the BATF and sends them the hell out of there. The BATF it will not be in a problem with me unless they come in and point a gun at me or a member of my family. They do that, and I'm going to shoot back. Well, and I don't care anyway. I'm my age. I've had a good life, and I just want to see how many I can take with me.
Most such warrants that are served, though, Gordon, the people are going to come in armed, whether it be ATF, or FBI, or our police department.
Being armed is one thing. Yeah. Pointing the gun at someone is something else again.
Yeah.
Don't point a gun at me unless you're prepared to die using it.
One other thing quickly I wanted to ask you. I was looking for a copy of your book, Will, the other day, and I was unable to find around a house. I'm going to have to go out and hunt it up in a bookstore. But does that book chronicle your prison experiences?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It does. Okay.
Yes, it does.
Because I work in a fugitive section here, and I in federal and state prisons all over the country all the time, and I was interested in your experiences in the place that you were at, and I wasn't sure.
I was in 9 different places, actually.
Moved around quite a bit, didn't it?
Well, yeah, but in most of those 9, I didn't stay all that long. But I'd say, let me see, I had substantial stays in 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 of them, at any rate.
5 of them?
Yeah, I'd say around 5, and that's both, state and federal. Mostly
just short of 5 years' time, right?
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A little longer than we were in World War II.
Yeah, that must have been quite an experience for you to go from your previous career into being something.
Yeah, well, I went direct from the White House to the big house, did not pass go, did not collect $200.
Has that... I was curious, the time that you had spent there, is there any way that any of that was credited toward your federal retirement?
No. That'd be a great one. I think the only way I could do that would be a member of the Clinton administration.
Yeah, right.
If I'd have been Tyson's Food or something, with one of those chicken things down there, I probably could have gotten exactly that deal out of Hillary.
Well, you don't make much in federal in prison jobs, but they should credit that toward your federal retirement from the FBI and other.
That would have been great. Yeah, that would have been great. But I think I made the grand sum of $7.50 or something for I don't know, for a week or for a month. I can't remember which. All right, let us go to the telephones. First up, from Stephenville, Texas, is Ron. Ron, you're on the G. Gordon Liddy Show.
Well, Mr. Liddy, it's a pleasure to speak to you.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, I am just curious on who are we supposed to believe in this Middle East crisis, Saddam Hussein or President Bubba?
Well, on the record of past performance, I would believe neither one.
Well, I was, my last thing about Bubba, he said that we'd only have, like 19 assault weapons bans.
Yeah, it's actually about 186 so far.
Well, but he's also banned the BATF says they've banned the Model 1866, 1860, 1873, and such Winchesters now.
You mean the lever actions?
Yes, sir. There's letters out circulating to that, and I think I had a fax sent to you.
I have not received that fax. That's rather astonishing. On what basis is the lever action? I mean, it doesn't have a bayonet lug, it doesn't have a pistol grip, and other things that don't mean anything anyway.
Well, no, sir, but it's exempted in the bill by name.
Yes.
And then it's exempted in the bill by the operation type, but it has a ammunition feeding device capable of holding more than 10 rounds.
I see, and thus it's no matter whether it's exempted or not, it is banned.
That's the BATF and the people who import stuff. Their interpretation of the law. I guess that my old single-shot rifles with a hand as big as mine, I can hold more than 10 rounds of ammunition.
Yeah.
So once I pick it up, I guess it's
that's an ammunition feeding
weapon
device. Yeah. Well, as you can see, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms is dedicated to the undermining of the United States Constitution. It is the enemy of the American people. It makes war against the American people. It kills innocent women and children, babies, and things of that sort. It is absolutely deserving of no respect whatsoever as a law enforcement agency or even as human beings. They have earned the contempt, the rejection, the disgust of the American people, and this, of course, is entirely consistent with them. I would suggest to you that if they really do attempt to ban these, and in spite of the specific exemption by name, why the courts will reject that because they've been exempted by name, and therefore the BATF position is in contravention of the law. And if some screwball Clinton appointee judge should hold for the BATF, I think we can promptly foresee that the law will be modified by the next Congress.
Mr. Liddy, you have destroyed all my fantasies. I thought that the BATF was out there to help us, along with the rest of the federal government.
Yeah, well, yes, I'm from the government, and I'm here to help you.
That's correct.
No, I'm from the BATF, and I'm here to kill your women and children. I won't try for you because I know you're a better shot, and you're liable to get me.
Well, sir, I'm going to have to get back to shooting again. My 10-yard rapid-fire groups have opened up to about 4 inches.
Well, that you may have a problem there because, as you know, the forehead area of a typical BATF agent is only about 2 inches. That's that pointy head they have.
Well, I was wondering whether it was useful for a headshot at all because with, obviously they have no central nervous system. And
you're right.
And then the
get him in the knees. Get him in the knees.
Sir?
Get him in the knees.
Well,
they don't have a flak jacket that goes down that far, and I want to see.
Maybe hit them in the elbows.
Yeah, can you see them? Hobbling forward on their stumps.
Well, yes, I could. The interesting thing that these people are still leaving out there, and I understand they're going to ban lead.
Well, that's toxic.
Well, yes, indeed, and also a 72 caliber muzzle ball just seems to take off whatever it hits.
Yeah, that's right. Oh my! I tell you, it's a great life if you don't weaken. But I think what we need to do is to remember all of this. In what is it? Only 4 weeks now is November, and every single one of those suckers in Congress who voted for that crime bill has got to go. I don't care whether they're Democrats, Republicans, Christians, Muslims, Jews, who they are, whack them out with the most powerful weapon you've got, and that's the right to vote. Again, you got to be registered. You've got to be registered before you can vote. So get out there, register, and vote.
I called last Friday to make sure I was registered, and we have a wonderful congressman here who happens to be a Democrat named Charles Stenholm, and he is I guess, as conservative as a Democrat gets.
How did he vote on the crime bill?
Against the crime bill, he voted against the
God bless him.
Pay raise. He is on record on saying that he's put it in the congressional record that he was against all of it and said, hey, we're in debt and this crime bill isn't going to do anything.
Good. Well, you got a national asset there, so you take care of him. But make sure you get all your friends and everybody you can think of to the polls too. Just keep driving down there.
Well, I always take a day to help the older folks go vote absentee.
Good.
And also take and usually drive on there, and all they can hear is my rhetoric about how nice of a man he is.
Okay, but remember, there's other people that up for election too, senators, governors, things like that. Check them all out.
Well, we have a real nice governor down here that she's just right in lockstep with Slick Willie.
Well, you know what to do about that, don't you?
Well, I don't know what I'd do with a person that just wouldn't even allow the referendum on a concealed carry permit on the ballot.
Well, don't you know what to do on November the 9th and for a person like that?
Well, I guess I'm going to have to, as much as I hate to, have to vote for George Bush's son.
There you go.
And, but that's, that's the way it is down here.
There you go.
The land of the free and the home of the enslaved.
Yeah, okay. Well, you can change that on election day. But you got to have
I always try to do my part.
There you go, sir. Well, thank you for it. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you, sir. And if you'll put me back with Cameron, I'd appreciate it.
You're all right. You just hang right on there. We'll break for some crass commercial messages, and you stay there and chit-chat with Cameron, who has nothing better to do anyway.
The G. Gordon Liddy Show. The G. Gordon Liddy Show continues.
We are back here on Radio Free DC, the G. Gordon Liddy Show. In this hour, of course, nothing but conversations between us. 1-800-GG-LIDDY by telephone, 1-800-937-GFAX by fax machine. And speaking of faxes, this fax is in from Stacy Drury, and she's from Spokane, Washington. Dear G. Gordon Liddy, I've been listening to your show now for about 2 months. I really enjoy it. What I would like to know is why do so many women want you? Maybe you could send me a picture. You must really have something. I'd like to want you too. Thanks. Curious. Well, how to respond to this? The best way to respond to this is to tell you why other women have said they want me. Now, first of all, as they put it, you know exactly what to do. And if you're a woman, you'll know what that means, and you'll understand the significance. The other thing is that I have been told countless times that my equipment is good. I have a lean, hard body. I'm in tremendous physical condition, muscular. And let's see, I guess the best way to put this in terms of the rules of the Federal Communications Commission and what have you, to which this station management is so sensitive, is that my primary male sexual characteristics are quite large. Now, if you put those three ingredients together, we have the reason that I have been given by satisfied women. And I hope that that answer satisfies you, and yes, I will send you a photograph. And if you want to see the way my body looks, if you look in the book Will, either the hardcover or the soft cover, there's a picture of me in a bathing suit there. We don't send bathing suit pictures out of me, however. We have not been reduced to that in an attempt to gain ratings. And he says, please discuss the relative merits of the 40 S&W cartridge as compared to the 45 ACP. Also, have you had a chance to shoot the new Sigma series handguns from Smith & Wesson? Do you have an opinion on plastic framed handguns? Haven't shot the Sigma. I do have an opinion on plastic framed handguns. I don't like them. I particularly don't like the ones that have plastic magazines. They swell under the spring pressure, and they're, in my view, not reliable. I don't think the 40 S&W cartridge is as good as the 45 ACP. You don't have that much of a broad cross-section. It doesn't have the weight that the 45 ACP has, and there are far fewer firearms chambered for the 40 S&W than for the 45 ACP. Something, ladies and gentlemen, as a former prosecutor who has gotten many a search warrant. You cannot get a search warrant from any judge, worthy of the name, on an anonymous tip. for example, let us say that I have a tip from an informer, and let us say that because I don't want the informer killed, I don't want to disclose on the application to the search warrant the identity of the informer. To get a search warrant on that basis, I have to state that it would be dangerous to put his identity down. I have to state that this informer has, and this, of course, has to be true, because I'm making this statement under oath. I can't commit perjury here. That he has proven to be correct in the past. His information is correct in the past. And then I have to take the actual informer to the judge so the judge can see that I do have an informer, that I'm not making this up. And the judge then has to interrogate the informer himself, and only then, when he's satisfied, can you get a search warrant. This business of an anonymous tip and I'm taking you to court, forget about it.
Well,
good luck. I'd love to have the other side of that case.
Really? Well, we wish you were here so you could. We wish you were still practicing so you could defend us.
Boy, there are times, when I wish I was still practicing, because boy, you'd end up owning the legal services department or whatever it is that would be going after you.
You haven't considered cloning, have you?
Well, I'm trying it with every pretty girl I can find.
Ooh, I get it.
Okay.
Well, we just wanted to tell you we really appreciate, it's just nice to find someone who is not afraid, who speaks their mind, and we just really appreciate what you do.
Well, and I appreciate what you're doing, and you stand up to those bullies. At any rate, there is something that is put out by the Encyclopedia Britannica company, the people that put out the encyclopedia, and it's called the 100 Great Books. And I would recommend that very much.
The 100 what?
A great book, greatest books of the Western world.
Okay.
And let me explain to you why I would suggest you get a copy of that. Because it has something called the syntopticon along with it. Now, let me explain something to you. These works were all selected by Dr. Mortimer Adler of the University of Chicago, who is a philosopher, a logician, and a very, very fine and famed scholar. And over a period of many years, and I think he did this before they had computers to help him, he went through all 100 of these books, and he took concepts that affect us all, and concerning which mankind has devoted a great deal of thought. Concepts such as justice, virtue, things like that. And wherever that concept is discussed in any one of those 100 books, he made a note so that, let us say your daughter, in addition to reading these superb books, which will improve her reading skills, which improve her English, and which will improve her knowledge and her culturalization. But she, let us say, is given an assignment to do a paper on justice or something of that sort. She can then go to this compendium that you get along with this thing, which is called, let me see, what do they call that thing now? The Syntopticon, Syntopticon. And that one volume, she just looks up, let us say, justice, and there it will list the exact book and page of all of those 100 books where it is discussed by the authors of those great books. And so you'll get this immensely valuable knowledge, all that scholarship done for you. And she just has to then go to those books and read those portions of it on that particular subject and write her paper. It is a wonderful scholarly aid. And I think they probably come in different grades of binding and what have you, and I'm sure that there's some that are probably modestly priced.
Okay.
But it's the 100 Great Books. And if you can't find those, and if your circumstances are such, usually in any of the public libraries, they'll have something called the Harvard Classics. That's a similar, just marvelous books, Moby Dick and all these classical books of the Western world that you cannot really claim to have been even exposed to culture without having read. Let's see. First up from Sulphur, Louisiana, is Angela. Angela, you're on the G. Gordon Liddy Show.
Well, hi there, Mr. Liddy.
Hi there, Angela.
How are you?
Virile, vigorous, and potent. That's how I am, Angela.
Oh, stop it.
You give me exactly 20 minutes to stop that, won't you?
I think that this question may prove definitively that people in America think you're the ultimate authority on lots of stuff.
Well...
yeah, I think, but this isn't necessarily a political question.
Okay, well, that's all right. This program is not exclusively committed to political questions, so you go right ahead.
Okay, here goes. I'm sort of hoping that you will settle a difference of opinion that my best friend and I are having.
Okay.
She has recently begun to not allow me to go places with her whenever she's going to meet men.
Mm-hmm.
We like to do things together. I adore my best friend, and she's not doing this in a mean way necessarily, but she has this theory that men have a secret obsession with redheads. Therefore, since she is not one and I am, when she is going out with a man or going to do something socially where men will be with whom she would like to mingle and maybe attract, she doesn't allow me to go. Well, this recently just came to a head whenever she decided to go somewhere with a male friend, and I was just dying to go. I insisted that she let me go, and she said, no, absolutely not. So we were carrying on and sort of fighting about it, and I said, oh, well, forget it, let's just go to the store. So we went to the store, and while we were there, a man stopped us and said, may I just tell you something? And he was directing this comment at me, and he said, it has always been my fantasy to be with the redhead. And she said, you see? And she just blew up, and now I can't go tonight. I just have to sit here. And I want you to tell her that that's silly.
Well, it is silly. And let me explain to you about men and women. First of all, I'm going to limit my comments to heterosexuals, all right? All right. Now, heterosexual males are very much attracted to good-looking, pretty, beautiful, however you want to put it, heterosexual females. They come in all varieties and flavors. There are blondes, brunettes, and redheads, and in between. Now, it is true that a spectacular head of red hair is sufficiently unusual that in this country it will attract attention. And if its possessor is a very good-looking woman, that will certainly redound to her benefit. But, it is not unknown for a male to be looking forward and seeing the back of a woman, and, her body's attractive, and she's got this flaming red hair, and he'll walk fast to catch up and pass her, and he'll turn around. And if she's got the face of a horse, he's going to keep on going. I can guarantee you that. So it is the physical attractiveness of the woman that is the initial attractant to a man. Now, you can have a woman who is physically very, very attractive, but who is, not to put too fine a point on it, a bitch. And once the person becomes known to the male, he doesn't want really anything to do with her because she has a nasty personality, and who needs that? And by the way, everything I've said can be turned right around the other way with respect to men. Now, I suspect that what the problem is here is that you are more attractive than your friend to males. That is not a function of your hair. It is a function of all of your appearance, and I would suggest, just even from this short conversation with you, from what I consider a very perky, attractive personality.
So
basically, yeah, you win the argument. You win the argument, but I'm afraid the reason, and I'm afraid you aren't going to get to go with her because you're just more attractive to males than is she. And she understands that. And inasmuch as the business of sexual attractiveness is competitive.
Do men behave this way, or is this simply a female trait?
No, this is a female trait. Men,
Oh, God.
Men, for the most part, are welcome the competition. It is a game with men. Who can walk off with the girl in the end, that sort of thing. Now, that is not a particularly admirable trait, but it is a common trait amongst men.
Well, you've certainly shed some light on this. Thank you.
Well, you're very, very welcome. And, oh my, well, it's radio, and I guess I can't say what I would like to say, Angela. But well, let me just say that I think that the fact that you come from Sulphur, Louisiana, is quite meaningful.
Have a very nice day.
Well, you certainly helped to make it such. And unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this hour of Radio Free DC. And this is a fax in from Lawrence Richardson. He's from Nicholsville, Kentucky. And he says, Mr. Liddy, are you aware that here at the University of Kentucky, students, and just a few, and not just a few, I guess, have attacked the Wildcat logo? They claim that the cat's tongue resembles the male sex organ. It says, University of Kentucky has caved in and will change the tongue. The politically correct soldiers are like cockroaches. They just won't go away. They keep popping up everywhere. Keep up the good show. Lawrence Richardson. Let's see. Actually, Mr. Richardson, there is some truth in all of this. You see, experienced male lovers are aware that the principal male sex organ for some men is, in fact, the tongue. And we won't go into that any further. But let's see, I better change subjects right away. This is something that was in USA Today. And they have found at Caesarea a bunch of curse tablets. It seems the ancient Romans, when they wanted to affect the outcome of things, this is 500 BC to 800 AD, they would inscribe things on little lead tablets and throw them in a well or put them in a grave for the spirits to carry them out. And they have a curse here that was just translated, quote, "For love or lust I bind you, Theodotus, by the tail of the snake, the mouth of the crocodile, the horns of the ram, the poison of the asp, the hair of the cat, and the penis of the god, so that you may never sleep with any other man, nor find pleasure with any other man but me, Ammonium, son of Hermitaris." Phew. Well, what that guy needs is a cat's tongue. All right, let's go to the telephones. And up next from Castleton, Virginia, is Bernadette. Bernadette, you're on the G. Gordon Liddy Show.
Oh, good afternoon, Mr. Liddy. How are you?
I'm virile, vigorous, and appropriate.
Well, my husband and I are great fans of your show, and we try and listen